Sam Darnold has absolutely been revived as a quarterback in today's NFL. If you would have told me going into this season that Sam Darnold would be an MVP candidate going down the stretch, I would have thought you were insane and just not being reasonable whatsoever. But you know what? He has been playing at that high of a level, and he's led the Vikings to the best record in the NFL, currently being 5-0. But if you've been watching the NFL for a while, here's the thing. Well, Sam Darnold hasn't always been good. Actually, before, he wasn't good whatsoever. He was actually one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. And that's why I think this story is so interesting, because how he's gone from one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL to MVP candidate. He has truly been revived as an NFL quarterback, and that's what I want to talk about in today's video. So before I get into it, make sure to drop a like, subscribe. It's very much appreciated. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year. It'd very much be appreciated if you went ahead and hit that milestone. And let's get straight into the video, guys. So Mr. Sam Darnold started his NFL career with the New York Jets. Of course, he went to college at USC. He was taken with the number 3 overall pick by the New York Jets, and of course, this was the draft class with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Lamar Jackson. This was a great quarterback draft class, somewhat great, I guess you could say. Baker, Josh Allen, and Lamar are great, but not so much for, you know, a guy like Josh Rosen. So if you look at Sam Darnold's stats and Sam Darnold's record when he was a New York Jet, it did not go well whatsoever, as we can clearly see now. I don't 100% blame that on him. I blame that on the pieces around him. I also blame it on that terrible head coach that they have, one of the worst head coaches in NFL history, being Adam Gase. When you break down the stats, his rookie year, he went 4-9, threw for 2,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 30 sacks, and then it just kind of went downhill a little bit from there. Next season, 7-6. He had a winning record, and things looked a little bit more positive. 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 13 interceptions instead of 15, and 33 sacks. And then the last season, everything just imploded. 2,000 yards, more interceptions than passing touchdowns, 35 sacks. Everything just went terribly. Adam Gase got fired, and eventually they realized Sam Darnold was not the quarterback, and they went ahead and drafted Zach Wilson in that year's NFL draft with the 2nd overall pick, and they went ahead and moved on from Sam Darnold and moved him on to the Carolina Panthers. And then you would think, well, it's a new environment for Sam Darnold. You know, maybe things are looking up for him. He gets to play with Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the league at the time. Maybe Sam Darnold won't be as bad. He actually might be something pretty good. Let's see how it goes. And then the Panthers start off 3-0. They're actually cooking. Sam Darnold's actually playing some pretty good football, but then the McCaffrey would go ahead and get hurt. Then they would slowly start losing games, and then they went ahead and ended the season being 5-12 after a 3-0 start, which Darnold in that season only started 11 games due to injury and him having problems and stuff. Had a 4-7 record, you know, 2,527 yards, and once again, he had more interceptions than touchdowns, but he was sacked 35 times once again. As you can see, the biggest thing in Sam Darnold's career that has really cooked him is getting sacked, man. This is like back-to-back 30-plus sack seasons. Like, you got to be able to go ahead and protect this man if you want him to play some good football. In the next season, he would only start 6 games, and those games he'd go 4-2, and the Panthers didn't do anything. Darnold actually threw for more touchdowns than interceptions. He had 11,000 yards. You know, nothing special happened this year again. The Panthers would go ahead and have the worst record in the NFL this year, and they would go ahead and draft Bryce Young in the draft, and they would send off Sam Darnold to, you know, be a free agent. His contract was over, but, you know, some team thought about signing him, but honestly, I feel like this signing was probably the smartest signing of his career so far. Sam Darnold would sign with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, he only played 1 game, and it was the game at the end of the year where the 49ers rest of their starters. He played 1 game, but you know what? That season right there, I feel like is the biggest reason why Sam Darnold's career got revived and what it got saved. I'm going to talk about what he's done with Minnesota next, but hear me out. I got to talk about this 1 year. When you're like talking with Kyle Shanahan, you're learning things from the San Francisco offense and that offensive tree, because we all know how good Kyle Shanahan is at offense. I mean, one of the best offensive coaches in the NFL. Of course, he has one of the best offenses in the NFL currently with the Niners. When you're in that system and you're learning things, and you have all those great weapons around you, and you're getting coached by a guy like him, you start learning some things, and some things finally start clicking in your head. And then when I was watching, I think the London game, I don't know if I'll be able to find the clip. If I do, I'll play it. But I think Darnold said when, you know, he was with San Francisco, he learned how to like slow things down at times, not be so hard on himself, and just, you know, play like slower and not be so fast paced all the time. You know, slow things down. They may went ahead and help. And well, they did go ahead and help, because look at this. He left the San Francisco, of course, right? So he would go ahead and sign with the Minnesota Vikings that offseason, and no one thought anything of it. We were like, well, the Vikings are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL because, you know, they lost Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons. Everyone was like, oh, well, they're cooked. They drafted JJ McCarthy in the first round, and he would go ahead and suffer an injury, so he didn't play at all this year. He played in the preseason a little bit, but he would suffer an injury, so everyone's like, well, the Vikings are gonna suck. No one really thought JJ McCarthy was gonna do anything anyway. Of course, he played with Jim Harbaugh, and everyone, oh, he got carried by the run game, he got carried by the defense, and then he got Darnold. Everyone's like, well, this team's gonna suck. And man, oh man, Kyle Shanahan, I know you helped him, but I gotta give applause to the guy who I definitely think helped him the most, Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell, man. If anyone deserves Coach of the Year so far from what I've seen of this year, give it to Kevin O'Connell. 100% deserves it from what I've seen from this Viking team and this Viking offense especially. So in his first game, he played the New York Giants. He threw for 208 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. He went ahead and had, 2 touchdowns, 1 to Jefferson and 1 to Jalen Naylor. Nothing too special in this game. Everyone's like, okay, it's the Giants. They might have put up 28 points. Their defense also played really well, which that is something else I'll talk about. But okay, they played the Giants. They need to do it versus a real team, like, the San Francisco 49ers. 268 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 touchdown being a 97-yard catch to Justin Jefferson, which was an absolute beauty. And then 1 being a 10-yard catch to Jalen Naylor again, because Jordan Addison at this time was hurt. Put up another great performance versus a very hard defense, a very tough 49er defense that we've seen has been pretty good. Then the next week they play another tough Houston Texan defense. Yeah, Darnold don't care about that. He threw 4 touchdowns and they absolutely destroyed them, 34-7. Darnold only had 181 passing yards, but you know what? He still threw 4 passing touchdowns with 0 interceptions. And then Darnold would go into Green Bay, beat the Packers, 257 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. That 1 interception going to McKinley, of course, which, McKinley's had a pick in every game, so that's fair. And then his worst game of the season so far, he only threw for 179, 0 passing touchdowns and 1 interception, but it was versus one of the best defenses in the NFL, being the New York Jets, and they pretty much shut down every quarterback they played against this year. One positive thing about all these games is they've won every one. The Vikings, undefeated going into the bye week. They've looked like one of the best teams in the NFL, and Darnold is second in passing touchdowns. He's been playing like an MVP level player, which is something I did not expect to say this year whatsoever. But yeah, he's been playing like an MVP level player this year, which is something I did not expect at all. I feel like another reason why the Vikings are so good this year is I got to give a shout out to their defense, man. Their defense has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm giving a special shout out to Brian Flores, man. He's one hell of a coach, one of the best defensive minded coaches in the NFL. He's doing some great things. I got to give a shout out to my dude, man. He's been cooking this year. I will not lie. That's another reason why the Vikings are undefeated. That defense has been amazing. Like shutting down CJ Stroud, pretty much shutting down the 49ers offense. Like, dude, that's some unreal stuff right there. I got to give some props to him for sure. So yeah, I know many of you guys too, you can leave a comment how you guys thought about this, but I know many of you guys too all as well thought that, Sam Darnold being an MVP candidate, this was not on the bingo sheet this year whatsoever. This was not something that would be expected. But hey, let the Minnesota Vikings and that offense to a 5-0 record. I gotta clap it up to Kevin O'Connell. He's done an amazing job. His coaching should be coaching of the year. And then Brian Flores, man, he's really killed it as a defensive coordinator for the Vikings. But of course, this is me explaining how Sam Darnold's career has been revived. But there's one more thing I should talk about, and that's of course, are the Minnesota Vikings legit contenders this year? Because it's just something you got to talk about. They're 5-0. They look pretty good. Are they legit contenders in the NFC this year? Like, do they genuinely have a chance? And we know how cursed this franchise is. Their division is very close right now. Green Bay, they're going to get everything together. Jordan Love is going to go back to playing some good football. Detroit's always been a threat. One of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL running the football. I think they'd probably say they're second behind Baltimore. Caleb Williams has looked better in every single game, and that Bears defense has been pretty tight this year. So, they're in a very tough division, and they could go ahead and win this division, especially. Those division games are going to be insanely important for them. Let's talk about the real contenders in the NFC right now. San Francisco, they've looked kind of mid this year, even though they're missing McCaffrey. Philadelphia, they still look like they got problems. Dallas, it's the Cowboys. Let's be real. I mean, Atlanta's looked okay. The Saints look like they're gonna fall off. Like, isn't really a clear number 1 contender in the NFC right now for like the first time in a long time, which that's crazy to think about, but it's true. The AFC still got them tough teams, but the NFC is kind of wide open, I feel like, as of right now. So the Vikings might be able to go ahead and, fill that void and be a team that goes ahead and goes in the playoffs, goes on a run. And you never know what might happen, all right? You never know what happens when it comes to January in the NFL, because truly, anything can happen. I'm not going to say they're going to win the Super Bowl, but NFC Championship game, maybe even going to the Super Bowl, as of right now, wouldn't be an insane possibility, all right, guys? Like, you got to think about it, all right? I know the franchise is cursed. I know they haven't won a single bowl, but hey, they've looked pretty nice this year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you believe the Minnesota Vikings are true contenders in the NFC? Because honestly, I believe it. I like what I've seen so far. The offense look great. The defense looks great. They got some great coaching. Sam Darnold is playing like an MVP level player right now. And honestly, I give him mad props. And that's going to be the video. So if you enjoyed, please drop a like and subscribe. It is very much appreciated. Sorry, guys, for, you know, I'm dropping a video every week from now on. I promise. All right, guys, there will at least be one video per week. And stay tuned. The YouTube short thing is getting extended. Shorts are going to be at least be able to 3 minutes long. So make sure you watch all my predictions and all my shorts. I'm be able to go more in depth on things a little bit now since they're going to be up to 3 minutes. So, you know, stay tuned, guys. And like I said, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one.